Well, it's been 2 months since I last uploaded a video, and over the past 2 years, I have been doing virtual vlogs, and I do plan on doing more virtual vlogs. But this is not going to be that kind of video, obviously, since I'm doing a face cam video, a little talking head thing, and that's because of something that I believe is very important that needs to be spoken of, saying how after this upload, the day after this upload, there's a whole lot of people who's planning on just not using YouTube. And I do understand why they do this, because there's going to be these huge, massive changes with YouTube. And while on the one hand, it does sound like they have a good idea, on the other, I think this is going to cause more harm than good between YouTube changes and people just not using the platform. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you see, you got a lot of these big corporations that seem to be pushing for these changes. And I don't think YouTube wants to do that, because it's going to end up limiting the growth of various channels that are raking things in for YouTube. But of course, bigger names are trying to get their way so they get more attention. And yeah, with these changes that YouTube's going to crank out, it's going to end up pushing people into bubbles. And rather than being exposed to, like, what is the next big hit music, or some sort of a craftsman who's doing stuff with like cooking or glass making, metallurgy, chemistry, martial arts, and a lot of martial artists out there who are doing stuff about in relation to safety during practice, which is great. I do believe those channels need to be grown more, so this way people would understand that there's safety in this, and not just with safety in martial arts, but also safety in like other areas as well. So it isn't just about the entertainment, the music, even including the virtual stuff, the VTubers and whatnot, but also like live action cooking. People who do set up a webcam to do a cooking show, or to show glass blowing, or whatever it is that they're working on. I do believe that those small channels will be the ones that suffer the most, not just with people being pushed into bubbles thanks to this change that YouTube's going to do, but also the fact that there's going to be people who would have been their audience who's just not going to watch because they're going to refuse to use YouTube. Especially since many of them are talking about using other platforms. Platforms that I admit I'm probably going to end up using along with YouTube. Although I might do things a bit differently, focus more on entertainment rather than commentary, which is what I've been doing on my channel. What I ask, because I doubt people are going to see this video, I doubt many people are going to even watch what I'm even going to bother with tomorrow or even the following week. But for those of you who are going to hopefully come back, I don't know, I ask of you, whatever smaller channel respect, and no, I'm not talking about Mr. Beast. I'm talking about like the ones that don't get the mainstream attention but are currently growing. I'm going to talk more about some of them in upcoming videos. Some of which I've already recorded, so don't be surprised to see like one day after the other, or every 2 days, I upload a new video, because I have like 4 or 5 on the pipeline, so to say. But yeah, like whatever channel, maybe it is a channel that I never heard of. If it's someone that you respect, please put a like on their video and leave a comment why you like their content, why you enjoy their channel, why you respect that person. Okay? I'm not asking this of my channel. I don't expect anything. What I don't want is to see these channels who are so great, channels that I would admit is better than me, better than my channel, end up coming down to the same bottom rung that I am. These channels don't deserve to fail. And in some instances, because like I said, some channels took over things like safety protocol and whatnot. Some of these channels, I believe, need to be on YouTube. Need to get attention so people don't hurt themselves. Because far too often, like even going into the whole martial arts thing, far too many people are running around going, and like, I am a martial artist. And it's like, no. You're going to hurt yourself. And thankfully, there's a lot of channels that go into the science of why you're gonna hurt yourself. And it's the same with the metallurgy, same with the cooking channels, like why you can't undercook certain things, why you can't just mix meat and vegetables when chopping up, the whole thing like salmonella and stuff like that. I do believe such channels need growth and deserve growth. So this way people don't hurt themselves, But just the same, also a lot of people that I believe are very talented, whether it's acting, music, or dance, or whatever the case may be. Those two, whatever the art form is, deserve growth as well. We should not be having these channels get pushed down by the mega corporations because, let's be real, even if I were to participate and we all just collectively stop, the thing is, the big names, the ones that already established themselves, their audience is not going to stop. The platform, the YouTube, it's going to see that grow, see that's getting attention. And unfortunately, that's what's going to get pushed the most. And it also doesn't help that some of these big names have been caught doing misinformation. And this is not to say it's everything. I'm not going to say this to badmouth BBC and Fox and CNN, but also a lot of channels that they don't care about the news, but they present themselves like news organizations. And before anyone asks, no, this is not a shot against Tim Pool either, because I do believe Tim Pool needs to be recognized. Even though, personally, I do think he's getting caught up in the brain rot a bit there. I'm sorry, Tim Pool, if you're watching this. I do think that you do get caught up in the brain rot a bit. But even then, I still think he's viable. But there's so many other people out there who, they don't do news, but they present themselves as such. And I do believe those people will get, those who push the misinformation. People who push theories so out there ridiculous, they make Alex Jones look sane. And I do believe that's what we're going to end up heading on. More misinformation, and perhaps even idiocracy. Which is why, not just for the sake of entertainment, but also for the sake of positive and factual information, keeping people safe with the right kind of information, we should help push these smaller channels. The ones who do, like I said, go over safety guidelines and stuff like that. Those who say why you shouldn't do something, what can hurt you, and things like that. Because honestly, better to have a bunch of people, even if they're not entertaining, if they just do safety information, better that than, well, something that makes the whole gay frog nonsense look normal. So until then, I am George, going to go back to my virtual vlogs as Neko AV, and I thank you for watching. Hopefully this won't be the last time.